Okay, next written question is from Mayor. When it comes to fixing an addiction like smoking, you've mentioned letting the body do what it does. When the body is ready to quit, it will feel easy, or will it feel easy, or do we ultimately need to force the body to do the right thing, ignore the insensor urges?
So let's put it this way. Some of you may be familiar with the term of Bhoga. We've talked a little bit about. So there's yoga and there's Bhoga. In the Indian framework, it's sort of said that everyone is one of those two. Everyone is either a yogi or a bhogi, meaning that everyone is either on a path towards God union and is actively, consciously, intentionally seeking God union. That's yoga. Or they are unknowingly seeking God union through material desires, getting their wishes, their egoic wishes fulfilled. They don't know that they're just seeking God, but they are, because that's the only desire in the universe that really exists. Yeah. So we could say it like this: the desires, the karmic attachments that are latent in the causal body, that are very minor and very subtle, we could say that we can transcend those through yoga, through non-resistance and non-attachment to them. We can overcome those subtle desires. But we can say that desires that are intense in us, you mentioned in your question, when the body's ready to quit, will it feel easy, or do we ultimately need to force the body to do the right thing and ignore the intense urges? So for those karmic desires in us where there's an intense urge, we can say that we should transcend those desires through Bhoga, meaning just exhaust the karma by fulfilling it. But here's the caveat, this is the important part. I'm not just saying run out to the bars and just get smashed every night and believe that that will make you happy. I'm saying do whatever your karma is intensely urging you to do, with the awareness at the forefront. Let's see if this is true. Let's see if what the ego's promising will be fulfilled. Does this karmic desire that I have such an intense urge for actually fulfill me and give my soul what it's looking for? If you fulfill your Bhoga like that, with that question on the forefront of like, let's put ego to the test. Ego keeps telling me that this next high will really make me happy. Let's get high and see if it makes me happy. Go through the experience, enjoy the high, all the stuff we normally talk about. No guilt, just do it. Just know that it's karma being fulfilled. It's your body's destiny. No, there's no one doing it. There's no one guilty. Just karma's living itself out. But inquire, right? Is this really what I came here for, right? Is this fulfilling my soul's longing, my purpose in this life? Or is it just a temporary hit of pleasure that disappears as soon as it came, and then I'm back to all the same problems I had before? Really look at that question. And that's where the power is in Bhoga, is that we are proving to our mind, the egoic mind, we're proving to that part of us that this is empty. It doesn't have what I'm looking for in it. And that's what the mind needs to overcome an addiction. The mind needs to be constantly faced with the recognition, this cannot give me anything I want. This outcome cannot give me anything I want. The more you show that to the mind, you'll notice the desire starts to wane. And when you ask, will it feel easy, or do we ultimately need to force the body to do the right thing? In my experience, it feels hard until it feels effortless. In the same way that, let's use a romantic relationship as an example. When you go through a difficult separation with someone, let's say they were unfaithful to you or cheated on you or something, so there's all this pain, and you're in that position for a while of like, your ego kind of wants to work it out and get them back, and it also kind of hates their guts and wants them to suffer, and you're just like tugging back and forth between those two poles. And then at a certain point, you get so tired of the drama in your mind, you get so tired of the pain from those thoughts, that something in you just drops it, and you're like, okay, I wish them well, hope the best for them, I'm moving on with my life. And at that point, it no longer takes effort to stop thinking about them. because you've actually exhausted the karma from that relationship. You genuinely don't have any negative feelings, and you also have no attachments. You just say, oh, I learned a bunch of great lessons. That person was exactly what I needed at that time in my life. I wish them well. Whatever happened had to happen. It's all good. That's the state of consciousness we must come to with our addictions as well. If we have a smoking addiction, part of us knows that this addiction is holding me back from more God union, that I'm being dependent on something external for my happiness, when I want that part of me to be only dependent on my being for happiness. I want to have the self-sustaining, self-shining, self-evident happiness that doesn't rely on anything. That's the real happiness we want. And so the more we know that that exists in me right now, it's available, but this thing is standing in the way of it, we naturally lose desire for that thing. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to give it up. It gives itself up when it's seen as it really is. So can you see your addiction as it really is in comparison to the light of truth? It's like if you have $100 in your hand and that's all you have, you're holding on to that $100 real tight. And if I come up to you and say, hey man, can I have that $100 bill? You're like, no man, I'm sorry. Like I gotta hold on to this. It's my only $100 I own. Like I'm gonna need to eat food later. And I say, well, if you give me that $100, I'll give you $1 billion. And I open a suitcase with the cash. How quickly do you drop that $100 bill? How long does it take you? How hard is it to give up that $100 bill now, when you know that something way more valuable is available to you if you give it up? You can't get rid of that $100 bill fast enough, right? You crumple it up and throw it in my face, and then you grab that briefcase. That's like what our being does when it sees that the truth of self is already available. Peace that passes understanding is already available, but that peace is the absence of material desires. That peace shines in the absence of external fulfillment. So when you really become convicted of that, the addictions give themselves up as kind of a natural response.